We are about to start the keynote, the second keynote of the day, the final keynote of the day. Well, in fact, there's 2 and 3. We have 2 data giants, names that you certainly will be very familiar with, names maybe not. From Treatwell, we have their CEO, Lopo Champalimo, a good friend of mine. Great to see you again, Lopo. And from Google, the lovely Alice O'Connell. I think that's about all you need in terms of introduction. If I'd like to welcome you both to the stage.
Thanks so much, Andrew.
So, green for go.
Okay. So Elish and I kind of teamed up together to give you a little bit of insight on what we're seeing in the digital world, because there's so much, I think, really exciting stuff to share. So I'm really happy to be sharing the stage with Google, who've been a really great partner for Treatwell in our years. Andrew, I'm super impressed that you finally got this pronunciation of my last name. It only took 11 years, but we got it. Okay, so we're going to divide up the presentation like this. I'll do a quick introduction. I'm going to hand it over to Elish, and I'm going to come back and talk about it a section at the end. But hopefully, this is not a sales pitch. We're going to just share as much as we can of what we're seeing in the industry. And we think there's quite a lot of really exciting stuff. I first stood in front of this community, the SPA community, about 11 years ago when we first started Treatwell, back then as Wahanda. And I have to say, a lot of the people in this room were one of the earliest supporters of the business and what I was trying to do. So thank you very much to all of you for that support. And that journey that we set out to do 11 years ago was about digitizing this industry and the spa, hair, and beauty industry. And in many ways, 11 years later, there's still so much to do. So I want to talk a little bit about that. So Google, everyone here has heard about it. There's over 100 million searches happening on Google every year for spa alone in the UK, right? 100 million. And it's growing 14% a year, right? That's a big number. And we like the 100 million number because on Google, on Treatwell, there's about 100 million people coming to the Treatwell every single year. And they're doing a booking every second. Okay? Every second, someone's booking a hair and beauty service on Treatwell. So you combine those 2 platforms, and together we have a huge amount of data. We have data about the consumer. We have data about businesses. We have data about how people are searching for hair and beauty services and spa services. We have data about what people care about in spa services, and we're going to share about as much of that as we possibly can. What I want to start with is information about the industry, and I think a lot of you are aware of this. So I'm not going to, I'm going to share the data that's out there. I think some of you will have seen this in different places, but I think it's always so impressive when I see it, and I think we forget just how big an industry this is really for consumers. So the first is that the wellness industry is estimated by the Global Wellness Summit as being worth about 28 trillion pounds. 28 trillion pounds. That is a lot of zeros. I don't know very many $28 trillion industries out there, but this is certainly one of them. The second thing to keep in mind, this comes out of some work that was just done by the British Beauty Council, which we co-sponsored, and that just came out recently, and that says that the beauty industry in the UK, and this includes spa, is worth about 28.4 billion just in the UK. That's a huge industry. And then we know from separate research that there's about 1,000 spas, specifically spas, in the UK, employing close to 5,000 people. And that, on average, the UK consumer does over 6 million visits a year. Right? So this is a big industry. It touches a lot of people, both as employers and consumers. It's a fast-growing industry, and it's one, I think, that's really relevant to so many of us, not in this room, but so many of us in our day-to-day lives. What's really interesting about this business is really when you look at the average spa booking, right, which is over 4 times the value of a salon booking. So the industry is actually very valuable. This industry is incredibly valuable. You think about how much people are spending in this area. We notice this huge discrepancy between how much somebody typically spends on a hair and beauty services versus how much they spend on spa. And I think that really says a lot about how much importance people play on this. So I'm going to hand it over to Eilish.
Okay, thanks, Lopo. So as kind of Lopo mentioned, 100 million searches on Google is no kind of small feat. And it puts spa in one of our kind of largest categories, especially within beauty and personal care. So I kind of wanted to put this a little bit in perspective for you guys. So I think you'll be able to see Yorkshire pudding. One of our top growing recipe searches on Google last year is somewhere around 4 million searches every 12 months in the UK. Cute puppies is up there. It's somewhere around 4 to 6 million. Love Island saw about 40 million searches last year in the UK alone. Chocolate, 90 million searches a year. And you guys, the spa industry is up there playing with Game of Thrones at about 100 million searches per year. So to put that into perspective, that's really how big the interest is in what you guys do in the UK. And to put that into even more perspective, that's actually taking about everyone who's here today, and it would be calculating if they searched for spas 10,000 times each today. So if everyone here searched for spa 10,000 times, you would get you towards the 100 million mark. So kind of what brings me here today to talk to you guys about search volumes and spa. I'm the analytical lead in the beauty category in the UK here. So I work mainly with clients in the beauty and personal care space like Treatwell, L'Oreal, Estee Lauder. So kind of my day-to-day is combing through these 100 million searches and seeing what we can learn about consumers. So I don't know, what kind of reaction does the word data incite in everyone here? Put your hand up really high if you're like, yes, I love data, can't get enough, okay. Middle if you're kind of like, you know, I'm a bit nervous about it. Okay, so hopefully by the end we'll have a little bit more hands waving in the air, because particularly in the search arena, actually we learn so much from what people are searching. So what's interesting on Google is that the value of our search data is really, really rich. It represents kind of consumer intent in its purest form. People go to Google search not thinking that anyone will be watching, or they kind of go with their purest, unbiased searches. We've done an exercise before where we get everyone in the audience to take out their phone, open their search history, and pass it to the person beside them, which people are not happy to do, which shows kind of exactly how kind of private and kind of it really is a really good reflection on the consumer mindset that we get from Google search data. It also, I mean, we have a huge amount of path to purchase data, and especially in the beauty and personal care arena, we know that search is a really important starting space on the purchase journey. So people start by searching around products and services, and they do end up following through to buy. So to kind of what we're sharing today, do think of it as a real rich insight into what the people who want to come to spas are thinking and talking about. This is an example I pulled out because I just kind of wanted to talk a minute about the kind of insight that we would get from a pretty simple trend. As you can see, this is a search in the UK for day spa near me. Obviously, you can see that in about kind of 2017, it really starts to break through, and we see a number of seasonal peaks there. There's loads we could learn from this, but just kind of in a really basic way, the near me part of that search is really characteristic of what we're seeing in consumer trends at the moment. That people are really concerned with convenience. They're not just looking for the service, they're looking for the convenience of the service being near them. So obviously as spa owners, considering kind of your local market and kind of that as an important target is kind of one thing that we'd learn from something like this. And Lopo is going to take us kind of deeper into kind of digital trends in spa as we go on. I pulled out here some of the top questions about spa in the UK. I don't know if any of these surprise you. I thought that some of them were pretty interesting. What to wear to a spa? I've definitely wondered that, because if you've ever been to the spas in Europe, there's a non-clothing kind of policy there. But also kind of questions around pregnancy and cost are really kind of interesting as well. And this really represents what people in the UK want to know when they're looking around spas. So kind of thinking about kind of answering some of these questions in your communications to consumers could be really important. So kind of, as I mentioned, kind of understanding what people are searching for is really, really important, and it kind of puts us right in the forefront of a consumer mindset. We're going to talk about 3 trends today. We're going to touch on wellness, which I'm sure is a huge buzzword, especially among this audience. We were going to talk a little bit about what we're seeing through a Google lens about people searching around wellness and kind of what that could mean to the spa industry. I'm going to touch on the curious consumer, and this is the kind of phrase we've coined for how much people are searching for everything these days. From best toothbrushes growing like 200% year on year to kind of best salt. Kind of there's no limit to kind of what people are searching and what does that mean for health and wellness. And then Lopo is going to come back in and take us through kind of really honing in on the spa industry and the data that Treatwell has and kind of bringing us closer to the spa consumer. But starting with wellness, as I kind of mentioned, I work a lot with clients in the beauty space who tend to be mass brands like L'Oreal and Estee Lauder. And although they have a huge right to play in this area, I really believe that you guys are kind of already there and kind of you already have that organic fit with trends that consumers are looking for in wellness and being well and holistic health. So I'm kind of really excited about this particular part because I think there's already just a natural synergy with the products and services you guys have, especially compared to some of the other clients I work with. But we can't really talk about wellness without kind of touching on new definitions of beauty, as we call them. And this really kind of, this really relates to how people are really starting to see beauty not just as a physical thing, but actually as kind of a holistic mental thing as well. So it has mental elements of feeling kind of confident and fulfilled and happy, as well as feeling physically beautiful and healthy. We did some research recently on the future consumer. And this was a quote actually from the research that we did. And just focusing on, they said, "I take pride in my health. I think it's all about what you put in, not just how you look on the outside." And I think that kind of sums up kind of what people are talking about when they're thinking about beauty and health and kind of feeling wellness overall. We asked consumers of different age this question. We said, what does beauty mean to you? Does it mean wellness, which is this navy line you see? Does it mean feeling confident, loving yourself, feeling healthy? Or does it mean your appearance, your facial features, your physique? And as you can see, there's quite a marked difference between some of the age groups that we saw. So younger consumers are right there kind of saying that, okay, wellness to me actually means feeling whole and happy as opposed to just physical health. And you can see it kind of ducks a little bit in the middle, but it then becomes our 35 to 44-year-olds are really kind of flying that flag as well. So kind of important when you think about marketing your spa treatments to different age groups, kind of what can you hone in on and knowing the importance of different aspects for different age groups. A huge, huge part of the wellness trends is kind of meditation and mindfulness. I don't know who here has tried mindfulness or mindfulness apps. It's not as easy as it seems, I'm going to say. It takes a bit of work. But it's something that people are really interested in learning about and learning how to do. And from a Google perspective, what we're really seeing is that people are searching for meditation and mindfulness to kind of manage everyday stresses and anxieties. It's becoming not just kind of a formal coping mechanism, but actually a way to say, how can I kind of manage a balance on a day-to-day basis? But part of that kind of mindfulness and meditative thing that we're seeing in the wellness trend is all around physical space. And you can see kind of across vision, touch, sound, scent. We're seeing huge searches around things like mood-controlled lighting. So making sure that when you walk into your home, the lighting is exactly how you want it. It smells exactly how you want it. The sounds are soothing and really speak to the mood that you're feeling, which kind of reminds me of going to a spa. But it is something that we're seeing kind of consumers taking more interest in thinking that actually feeling well and having a positive day is not just about kind of how you're feeling, but it's the space you're in. So again, thinking kind of as spas, that is a super relevant fit for you guys and already somewhere that you guys are investing in, I'm sure. So it's kind of interesting to see that this is something growing within consumers. And a lot of brands are already capitalizing on some of these trends. Treatwell have pioneered something called the Mindful Mani, where you can choose when you get your manicure whether you want no sound, or whether you want music or a podcast playing. So they kind of give you that option to kind of give more dimension to your treatment. The Boots Wellness flagship store, has anyone been to it in Covent Garden? It is really nice. And I think that unless you're looking for it, you might not even realize some of the small tweaks that they've made to really enhance the experience of going there. My favorite is the waiting area by the pharmacy. So you don't have to kind of stand there and kind of make yourself small to get out of the way. They kind of have a really nice space where you can sit, and it even says relax. But they have hydration stations, the way the store is laid out. They have extra wellness shelves and things like that. So again, you can kind of see how companies are really gonna play into this. And if what I've said so far hasn't encouraged you that consumers are really looking for wellness and that this is relevant for spa, we actually asked them. So we did a bespoke survey, especially for this session, where we targeted spa goers in the UK, and we asked them a number of questions. But one of them was, what is the top reason why you visit spas? And to relax and unwind was the number one response across people, over the specific treatments, over the locations, over special occasions like birthdays and things like that. So really putting that in perspective. And even more importantly, almost 80% of people said that actually feeling relaxed and rejuvenated was what made a spa visit successful. So you can kind of see how this is really, really relevant for you guys. Just to kind of wrap that up, I think I mentioned it all throughout, but what could be important for you guys to take away from the wellness trend today? Just really knowing that consumers are interested in the mental wellness aspect of going to a spa. This is something that's important for them. It's something that they're seeking, as we've seen through the Google searches. So kind of really using that as an opportunity to highlight the wellness benefits of going to a spa. So while I mentioned wellness itself is a really kind of organic trend and a good fit for spa, the curious consumer is another big opportunity. And as I kind of mentioned, this is kind of where we see that people will search for anything. And the search journey is just growing and growing. And especially around health and wellness, it's a really rich area. So I just want to show you guys some of the things that people are searching that could be relevant for you guys, and hopefully give you some food for thought when you're thinking about how you might want to speak to consumers. So curiosity is really driving searches around health and wellness. These lines here represent searches around health and wellness that ask why, what, and how. So for example, what is a Swedish massage? How does a Swedish massage work? Why is a Swedish massage good for you? Is an example of what we might see. And what you see is that what for a long time kind of led the way in terms of interest volume, but what we're seeing breaking through is this yellow line that says why. Why is it good for you? And this is a trend that we're seeing not just in health, we see it in food very, very strongly. So why is avocado good for your skin? Why should I use rose water, for example? So it kind of is a testament to consumers really looking to know a bit more about what they're going to buy and what they need for themselves. I just took out this example to show you for massage benefits, and I'll talk a little bit more about kind of the importance of knowing the benefits, but this shows how year on year searches around massage benefits are growing. So not just searches around massage and spas, we saw growing 14% year on year, but actually the specific, why is it good for me element. And this dotted line at the top is the projection for next year. So you can see, even compared to the past couple of years, how much we're expecting that to grow. And of course, we wanted to go back to the spa goers as well, and we did ask them, we said, how important is it for you to know what spa treatments do for your health? And you can see, again, it follows a similar pattern like we saw with the kind of wellness chart, but for younger consumers, almost over 1 in 2 say that it's really important for them to learn more about how spa treatments can benefit their health. So again, keeping in mind, that's information that we're seeing consumers want to know. So just talking a little bit more about benefits, it's not just about the kind of treatments and things like massage benefits, it's also really about the ingredients. We're seeing consumers' understanding and awareness of different types of ingredients completely blow open. I don't think if you looked back 5 years ago that people were searching for spirulina benefits. So these are things that we're really seeing breaking through. So when you're thinking about framing the benefits of going to a spa, remember the products you use. And to kind of add a little bit more to that point, of course, when we're thinking about specific ingredients, people want natural and people want organic. The big circle in the middle didn't quite come out, but that's 200 million searches for specific ingredients, but also growing our natural and organic. And what we see with the curious consumer, and what's the root of this, is that they're starting to search with their own problems at the core. So they go saying, I have a bad back, or back pain for pregnancy. And what that leads them to is kind of an understanding of looking for specifically what they want, but not forgetting that there's a growing interest in kind of the most organic and natural solutions. Also interesting, as I kind of mentioned, it's about the products, and also it's about the treatments, but a whole part of this kind of where natural and organic meets the curious consumer is around the types of treatments they're seeking. So there's been kind of a movement away from maybe more chemical treatments, and people are really searching for things like Reiki massage, for example, really natural ingredients like aloe vera. So keeping in mind, again, when you're talking to consumers, to highlight anything that you might offer to people who value kind of the more natural and organic treatments. And of course, we asked our consumers, and about 63% said that it was important to them that spas use natural and organic products. We did take men and women respondents in the survey, so when you just isolate women, it was about 70% for female spa users. So, what's important to know about the curious consumer? There's a couple of things. Firstly, is that just the number of searches and the kind of search journey from going from personal problem to looking for solution is a huge opportunity for spas to give information and to allow people to understand how they can help them. Understanding the benefits of spa treatments, not just for the kind of relaxation and rejuvenation, but long-term health could be really important. And highlighting kind of any natural and organic products and treatments that you use will also be a huge opportunity. But I'm going to pass back over to Lopo, and he's going to be the glue that brings all of it together and delves more into spa.
Thank you. So you can see how, we work very closely with Google, and you can see how much the insight that they have into what consumers are looking for can be really helpful for all of us in thinking about how to grow our industry and our business. So, but there's one underlying trend that I think is really important, and I want to come back to it, and this is the incredible supercomputer that all of us have in our pockets. The mobile phone is such a big thing, and it drives everything. And this mobile phone is driving huge changes in behavior, right? So, to give you a sense of this, we see that 75% of all bookings on Treatwell happen on a mobile phone for spa. Okay, 75%. 65% of them are bookings for off-peak days. Right? So people are searching for moments. And this is really important. What's driving this, a lot of this, is impulse. Right? It's this idea that I have a moment, I have some free time, I can go when I want. And enabling online booking enables that ability to book whenever you want. 52% think about this, 52% of bookings are happening outside of your opening hours. Right? If you are only taking bookings when you're open, you are rejecting 50% of your customers. Right? The story, many of you heard this, the story of why I started Wahanda/Treatwell was because I was trying to book a massage after hours. And I was kind of coming home from work, I wanted a massage for the weekend, and I called up a spa, they didn't answer the phone, so I sent an email the next day, they still didn't answer the email, and then what happened to that treatment? I never had it. It was too much of a pain to make that booking. And that is money that was never spent in our industry. And the facility of making online bookings easier really, and taking advantage of the supercomputer that we all have in our phone, in our back pockets, grows the entire industry. So 52% are being booked outside of opening hours. And 10% are booked within 24 hours of the booking time. If you go to 48 hours, it's 20%. Right? So it's a big number, right? So let me put this in perspective. So I just Alicia talked about a lot of interesting things here about how we see Google Trends and how we see how important the search traffic is, and we're bigger than Game of Thrones, which is amazing. But this here is restaurants, the top. Search Google traffic for restaurants. It's a big category, gets a lot of traffic. This orange line here is flights. Pretty big industry, pretty big. You'd imagine a lot of searches for flights. This blue line is spa. Okay? So basically, there's as many people searching, almost as many people searching for spa as there are for flights. Now, how many people here, put up your hand please, book their flights by calling up the airline? Anyone? So why are we subjecting our customers to still insisting that they must call up us to make a booking? Right? We are still so far behind in our journey in this sector. So what is it that makes a consumer want to book online? The first thing, when we ask our consumers what's important to them, 76% of them say it's the price. Okay, price matters. We talked about it being 4 times more expensive to book a spa appointment than it is to book a salon or beauty service. And we talked about the importance, I think, in our mind. I know in this group, we often like to try to separate ourselves, wellness from beauty, but actually from the consumer's perspective, those things are so intermingled. But price matters, right? So how do you find that moment of mindfulness, of peace, of wellness? You can try to do it from a price perspective is important to them. They care about the details, second most important thing. Tell me what I'm going to actually get, because one of the things that we hear again and again in this industry is that consumers feel that we're an industry shrouded in mystery, and they don't quite know what they're going to get and what they're supposed to do, and are they supposed to take off their clothes or not take off their clothes? Are they going to, what are the right things should I tip? What is included? What isn't included? All those things are big, important things. The third thing they ask are reviews. Reviews are super important, right? But what's really interesting to me about this chart is something we all care about, but consumers don't seem to care about as much. Only 6% say the brand and the product that you use. Okay, only 6% actually make a decision based on those products that are there. Right? So there's so many things that are really important for us to actually expose to the consumers to help them make the decision better. There's also a bunch of things that other factors we also learn. Are treatments included? Were the meal included? Those kinds of things are really important. Afternoon tea is a very important selling factor for them. The setting of the environment, etc. But then there's some factors which aren't important, which are detractors. And the most important one is bad reviews. Not having availability. So sometimes, especially when there's packages where people are kind of booking into a hotel or getting a thermal experience, but then they can't get a service at the others adjacent to that. And again, the service is not being detailed enough, and poor images, a lot of poor images. There is one of the things I always struggle with at Treatwell is what I describe as the dead woman on the table picture. We've all seen the dead woman on the table picture. There's a billion different pictures of that one. It's not a very good image. We can do better than that. So we talked about how last minute it is. 20% of bookings are happening within 4 hours. But also the other thing we're talking about is the group function of it. So increasingly people, it's a very social event for SPA. And what we're seeing is that actually almost 49% of all the bookings we see for group bookings are guests of groups of 4 to 8 people. So actually fairly big groups, right? And that's, I think, a big important trend that's coming. And then we're seeing that we talked about the last minute availability. So this is that we see that on average, there's about a 14-day lead time between the time someone makes a booking and the time they're going to go to their appointment. But when you break it down, fully 20% of those are only within 48 hours. That's really, really recent. Right? I'm going to skip through that. Yeah. So these are just some of the treatments and packages that we see sell consistently. So spa days, really interesting growth in spa days. We continue to see spa days be a really big trend. And that's because I think it's accessible. It's in a time-constrained world. It's quick, it's accessible. It's an easy thing for people to engage with. We see that kind of consistently doing well. We also see that spa days and spa breaks associated with a couple of other key elements like these, treatments, breakfasts, afternoon teas, etc., really make a difference in terms of how they perform. So I'll skip the other side, but then I want to come back to one last thing, right? And that is kind of actually, at Treatwell today, we have the largest base of reviews for the hair, beauty, and spa industry anywhere in the world. And one of the things we like to do is try to understand what is that free text that people write. What do they say in there? And we sometimes use word clouds. So I'll leave you with a word cloud of what people talk about when they write reviews, positive reviews, on Treatwell about their spa experience. And staff, super important, right? The way in which your staff integrate, the experience that your staff delivers, ultimately, it's a very personal experience, and that's really important for people. The spa itself, the room, the pool, the steam, clean, these are the words that come up a lot, but it really hits me how much staff is important. Little time. Interestingly, there's a lot of things around small, nice service, very interesting how those things come together. Like the coziness of the place, feeling intimacy, I think is really important. But this hopefully gives you a little sense of how people are thinking about it. And hopefully the whole presentation today has given you a little sense of just, A, how big an industry are, how digital it is, whether we like it or not, how big an opportunity we have in this area, and how much the consumers are leading us into this world of a digital wellness world. And we really need to keep up with them, because we, as consumers, we have already embraced it in many aspects of our life. And I think we still have a long way to go to fulfill that same offering for our consumers when they look at our sector and how they can fulfill it digitally. So thank you very much. I don't know if we have time for questions, but I don't know if anyone's here from... We're without adult supervision, so I think we can ask questions.